prepared on how to be a student. They'd been out for many years. Maybe they never even went to high school. Maybe they only had eighth grade education. Um, all those different barriers that kept them from graduating that first time. They're coming back, and they really kind of had to learn how to be a student again. So through lots of conversations with our vice president and our center directors, and then down to life coaches, CCR teachers, lots of meetings, we came up with Cornerstone, which encompasses some basic technology skills, some needed guidance for study habits, time management, soft skills, learning to communicate effectively, be it verbal communication, email communication, making those phone calls, able to communicate their needs with teachers and staff. And then just an introduction to that basic college and career exploration, which is a huge piece of this. I teach Cornerstone and senior seminar, so I get students at the beginning and at the end. And as CCR, I work with them as they get close to graduation. So a big part of Cornerstone is that initial career exploration piece. So they really get to think about what they want to do, how they want to get ready for it for their time at the Excel Center. I'm going to go next, and I'm going to talk about our core competencies, what were developed for the course, and kind of just some quick ways on how we cover these. And then Katie is going to talk about Choices 360, which is a program we use, and Ramona is going to go over some sample lessons. So if you want to go ahead and open that. Okay. So obviously we can all read. I'm not going to go through this verbatim for you, but again, it comes back to those essential questions of, what were students' goals? What did we want this class to look like for students? What are their interests, their skills? How can we support their goals? What kind of learner are they? And where do their technology skills lie? We are pretty fortunate across the state. We all have, we have big city, St. Louis, and then medium with Columbia and Springfield, and then more rural with Poplar Bluff. So we all teach the same obvious core competencies, but we are able to have a little autonomy in how we address that at our centers. So we all follow these same core competencies, but we maybe structure them a little differently, create our own progression of skills, mastery of competencies, et cetera. So one of the things that was covered, like number one, was development of those soft skills, that self-advocacy, that growth mindset, a little introduction bit piece on that soft self-regulating. We focus on, what's your learning style? What's the best way for you to learn about how do you study? How do you learn best? We cover, which I said Katie will talk about, Choices 360, which is career development software. We utilize that to, help them explore different programs, their surveys, so they get to explore their interests, their work interests, their aptitudes, career clusters, things that are of interest to them. The technology piece, the goal is that if they come into Cornerstone, they do have a pretty basic understanding of technology. So they come in, we utilize Gmail, Docs, slides. They'll do slide presentations. I kind of start them off right off the bat with like an all about me, and they have to create a doc answering a question, answering themselves about themselves, and they have to turn that into a slide presentation and be able to present that and show that. So we're kind of testing not testing, but utilizing their ability and expanding their use of those technology skills, which we know they're going to use later in other classes. Also use Google Forms, Google Meet, Zoom, getting them used to all those basic things. Um, Again, evaluating their interests and their skills to identify those post-secondary options. We talk about IRCs. We introduce IRCs, those industry recognized certifications that students can be pursuing after graduation, or in Missouri, they can pursue those during their time while they're a student, as they get close to graduation, and actually earn elective or practical art credit for participating in an industry recognized certification. Where you were at. So SMART goals. We go over SMART goals, how setting goals, why setting goals are important, how to make those steps in achieving those goals. I made some notes on here, and I do worse when I go by notes than if I just start yapping. 5, we go over time management, study skills, note-taking skills, and then we kind of wrap up with self-care. I do personally, self-care, social media, their digital footprint as they're getting, into their time here, and as they go through, what are they leaving behind, that, what does their social media look like as they get further on and start looking at jobs and college and all of that. What's their personal brand? How do they want to be perceived? Those type of things. Those are basically, I'm looking over here if there's anything that I wrap up with after we've utilized Choices 360, which Katie will talk about next. I sprinkle it throughout all their lessons. They take the various surveys. There's several surveys that they can take. And then they focus on a career that is interesting to them. And then they do a career presentation utilizing all those skills that they've learned about themselves, what their work habits are, what their aptitudes are, what their goals are, how they want to achieve that career. So that being said, I will turn it over so you can learn a little more about Choices 360 from Katie.
All right. Thank you, Heather. All right. I just want to kind of expand on, what Heather was saying, like what was the why of Cornerstone? And so like many of your guys' mission statements, our mission statement here focuses on employment. And so ours is changing the lives through the power of work. And so the Excel Center, follows that as well. And so one of the key factors that determines like the success of our school is the impact that we're able to make on the lives of our students professionally after graduation. So we look for improvements such as increased wages, students gaining industry recognized credentials, certifications, post-secondary education or training. So we're really wanting to get the students started early on thinking about what's after their graduation. So Cornerstone was created to direct our students' attention to their goals beyond the diploma. Okay, and so we looked to a program called Choices 360 that was going to help us achieve just that. All right, what is Choices 360? It's an online platform that helps our students explore and understand different career options and paths. It offers a variety of tools and resources that will assist students in getting to know themselves and their goals. Okay, it utilizes students' information to narrow job searches and to offer career recommendations. And then it also allows students to create a personalized portfolio that's organized in a way that the teachers, life coaches, career counselors can all use that information to be able to advise our students towards their success. Okay, so how is Choices 360 used at Goodwill? So inside the classroom, we're gonna use it in a couple different classes. It starts off at Cornerstone. So Heather just read through all those core competencies. A lot of the lesson plans that will fulfill those core competencies 2 through 4 in the Cornerstone class. So throughout Cornerstone, students begin to build their portfolio by taking a number of personality assessments. I think Heather named off a few of them. I have them listed here, and here in a minute, I'll take you to the website and we'll just kind of look at them real quickly. But then it gives students the opportunity to reflect on those results from their assessments, and then also give them careers that will match their personalities and skill sets to that. Another thing that it will allow students to tailor career exploration to match their interests, values, and abilities. So I think the best thing I like about Choices 360, you know, if you ask your student, you know, what is it you want to be? What is it you want to do? If your students are like ours, there's a lot of them that, you know, just don't know. So they don't know where to start looking. So Choices 360 kind of gives them that just like leg up and get their minds just kind of thinking about possibilities. As Heather mentioned before, we have kind of like we have two classes. They're bookend classes, one at the beginning, one at the end. The other class is called Senior Seminar. And so Senior Seminar will also utilize Choices 360. They'll do a little bit of different tasks on there. They'll do stuff such as exploring post-secondary education, training options, fill out FAFSA, scholarship, financial aid. They can build their resume, write cover letters, and talk about interviewing skills as well on Choices 360. Outside of the classroom, so Choices 360 was actually already being used by job services and the VR division here at MERS Goodwill. So we already had employees that were using it. And so it made for a really easy transition to implement it into our schools. But then it also created a channel of communication between different departments at our agency. So what I recommend, you know, if this is a class or something that you're wanting to offer your students, you know, check and see if your agency already uses similar programs in their job services division. Choices 360 will also be utilized though by the life coaches, CCRs, counselors to be able to advise the students in their optimal path to success. So we will check it out. Maybe if I can get out of here. Does anybody have any questions or anything so far? We good? Okay, so this is going to be Choices 360, what like a teacher would see when they come on here. It has a lot of great tools for teachers. A teacher can view individual students' accounts. They can also run reports to be able to see like their class as a whole or the school as a whole to see how they're doing. There's also a lot of great resources that include lesson plans. These lesson plans are really neat because they don't just include like career readiness, but they also have lesson plans that will, for math classes, science classes, social studies, that all kind of center around, you know, careers and whatnot. So that's all on the professional side that I was going to show you. This is what the student will see when they pop up. And so we had talked about the first thing that students are going to do is start creating a portfolio for themselves. And that's going to include taking certain assessments, and they're easy little interest, you know, assessments. And there's a number of them that they take. After they take them, they can view their results. They can write reflections on those, save those to their portfolio. They can also view matching careers to those assessments as well, which is really nice. Back out. The other piece on Choices 360 that's utilized in Cornerstone a lot is this explore career options. And so they can explore it based on, you know, searching for keywords. They can use it based on their work history. They can also utilize different ways to, you know, narrow search results to be like, you know, I want a job that matches this, these criteria, and, you know, maybe Choices 360 might have 1,000 jobs and then narrow it down to like 6 or 7 so that they can kind of see that from there. One of the greatest things about here, and maybe I'll just look up one of my one of my previous searches with my students. It'll give a little snippet about, whatever you had. It'll give you lots of different choices on those. So if a student says, I want to be a nurse, well, there's a lot that kind of qualify as a nurse. So what is it exactly, you want to be? And so they can look individually at it. And they have a lot of great information. Some of the things that I like is it's specific to regions. So if they look up, what's the national average, it'll show that, but they can also look up, well, what about St. Louis County? What's the average salary for that? They can look up schools or that are specific to the region as well, so that they can get a program that's close to home. So that's all I'll bore you with this one, but it's something that's fun to kind of play with. And so if you ever get the opportunity, there's just a lot of information, and our students really enjoy using it as well. So Dr. Ramona, you can take over.
All right, thanks, Katie, and good afternoon, everyone. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to cover just a few sample lessons that we've been able to do in our Cornerstone classes, so you can better see how we take our core competencies and apply them to student learning. Of course, Choices 360 plays a huge part in this course, and it has those readily available lessons built in, and our students really love the program, and they use it after they graduate to help them. So this first sample lesson, this lesson focuses in on our first core competency, where the goal is for students to develop soft skills that they can use in their academic and personal pursuits. So one of our component skills is exploring personal learning preferences. So as you can see here, the intro to this lesson, it says, it is extremely important to know your learning style. Take the learning style assessment to see what your learning style is. When you see the results at the end, it will explain to you what your learning style means. In addition, the site will provide you with tips specific to how you learn best. And then, of course, after they complete the learning style assessment, I do a lot of reflecting pieces in the class. So I'm not going to go through all of this, but I want to show you kind of what this looks like. It's very user friendly. They just start the assessment. Of course, over here to the left, it says your preferred learning style is the way in which you learn best. And it lists the 3 styles. So I'm just going to do a couple of these. To what extent does the following statement apply to you? I am good at drawing things. Absolutely not for me. I create songs and jingles to remember information. I actually do that sometimes. I'm an English teacher and I actually teach those jingles. I need to participate in an activity in order to learn how to do it. That's a lot like me. So that's just, kind of what it looks like. And then, sorry. At the end, it produces results, and it offers more resources based on the learning style that the students, that the students saw there. So I'm going to show you what my reflection kind of looks like. So it just asks them, what type of learner are you? And I like to know this as well as a teacher, for the students, where they fall. And then I ask them if they agree or disagree and explain why. And then the final question is, it's talking about the results, providing them with the tips at the end. And I asked them to list one of the tips that you will try this term to assist you with school, and why do you think that would benefit you? Because I really like how at the end, it gives them those resources that are individualized to how they scored. After this lesson, we go a bit deeper and students gain knowledge on note taking, studying, and organization, but I use differentiated instruction there because it's based on their learning style. And of course, those skills fall under the fifth competency. All right, I will go to the second one. So this one, it also covers the first competency, but it centers on the skill of relating transferable skills to different environments. So before this lesson, we would have already covered lessons on like the self-advocacy, the growth mindset, and self-regulation. So this will come after that. So the intro to this lesson, it says throughout this course, we've been focusing a lot on what is called soft skills. As you continue your academic career and then prepare to work in the field you desire, having soft skills is just as important as having the necessary hard skills. So it says they'll watch 2 Edpuzzles. I don't know if you guys use Edpuzzle, but we really enjoy the Edpuzzles. And then of course they do a reflection. So I'm just going to show you a preview here of what this first one looks like.
Eye contact.
Listening skills.
Teamwork.
Positive attitude.
Proper handshake.
Professional appearance.
And respect. How do you earn the respect of the people you work for? This is labeled soft skills.
Soft skills are the ability to get along well with others, the ability to solve conflict, the ability to be a leader.
Just people skills. And that's something that you learn out in the real world.
I know that.
All right, so I'll stop it there, but this is a multiple choice question. One, when you have a job, you must be able to communicate your thoughts, struggles, and ideas. And of course, we know the answer is true and yes. So when I get to facilitate the communication pieces and how you should actively listen and all of that, it really helps students to recognize that the soft skills are just as important as the hard skills. All right, we'll go out of that. Oh, wait a minute, guys, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go out of that. I wanted to show you one more question. Okay, I've got to move all of this out of the way. Okay. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it was the 8th one was a really good press. So we talk a lot about the interviewing in senior seminar. However, I start covering some of it in Cornerstone. So this one is about knowing how to dress for an interview is a soft skill. And we talk about what's professional dress. Unfortunately, the population of students we teach sometimes get confused with that. We even talk about eyelashes because me, for one, I like the eyelashes, but I like the professional eyelashes. And so we even get into when your eyelashes look like they're going to like attack me, then that's inappropriate for professional settings. So we get to cover quite a bit with that. And then this other video is really good. It's looking at the hard skills versus the soft skills. So I'll play a little bit of this.
When it comes to work skills, they can be broken down into 2 types: hard skills and soft skills. They're pretty different from one another, but both are necessary to be successful on the job. Let's take a look at the differences between the 2. Hard skills are concrete skills that are specific to your job and are required for you to actually do your work. For example, if you're a chef, cooking would be a hard skill. Or if you're a computer programmer, coding would be an example.
All right, so
soft skills on the other
hand, I really like from this is how can someone develop or strengthen their soft skills? Because when we look at the hard skills, we know it could be a certification or something like that. And so this was a good question. The first says attending a university, completing a certification. And of course, we know that's not it. That's a hard skill. Excuse me. Research the job description. That wouldn't work. Avoid situations that require working with other people. We can't do that and keep a position. And then practice skills like active listening, creative thinking, and flexibility. And so our students seem to have given us really good feedback on the soft skill lessons. This is just an example of a reflection piece. How do you define hard skills? How do you define soft skills? What's the difference in them? And then we want them to recognize their hard skills. So it says name a few hard skills you need or needed for your most recent job, and name some soft skills. And then the last question allows them to apply something to work on. And it says, pick a soft skill that you would like to strengthen and explain why you want to strengthen that skill and how it would benefit you. And most of my students, it's communication and how to be an assertive communicator, which is very important. All right, so the last lesson I'm going to show you, it's one that is much needed. So this falls under core competency 6, which covers the importance of having an ideal personal brand. We emphasize the importance of our social media presence. Okay. So intro here, today's article informs us of a lot of things many of us may not know. Our social media presence is so important. When you think about your long-term goals, it is extremely important to be mindful of your personal brand. For those of you who are parents like me, this is also very good information for us to pass along to our kids. And then it wants us to read the article and complete the reflection. So here, you can tell just from the highlighted points, social media posts disappear, right? Most of my students did not know until I told them that even if you have a private page, it's the internet. So you have to really be careful of what you're posting and even who you're associating yourself with. We talk about how employers and colleges actually look at this stuff. I was intrigued by 70% of employers use social networking sites to research job candidates. Like, that's huge. Kai, I'm so sorry, y'all. My 3-year-old is bothering me. What are recruiters watching out for? Thank you, sweetie. And then references to illegal drugs, sexual posts, spelling and grammar issues, bad mouthing. And then it goes into what we can do to build a positive online reputation, and how to clean your social media pages up. All right. And we've had great discussions with this. Yes, sweetheart. Okay. I'm so sorry. So now, some people would ask, do I make the students do the questions from the Newsella article? And the reason I do in Cornerstone, because it allows me to facilitate the test taking strategies as well as the critical reading strategies, which are also both a part of our course curriculum. And because the questions are rigorous, there's a lot that can be learned in how to choose the right answer. So I do that there. And I want to show you guys the reflection for this. What did you learn from this article that could help you? Actually, this turns into a very long response for most students after we, read the article, because a lot of things, they did not know. And I'm very open and transparent. I've told them before, I have a relative, and like on Facebook, you can put if you're a cousin or a sister or whatever. And I was like, I just had to delete him because I did not want him associated with me based on the things that he was putting on his page, So It says, based on the article, how can social media affect future jobs in colleges? Do you think this is fair? Why or why not? Half of the students say it's not fair. And even I could agree with that. Like, it's not fair that I have to take this relative down. However, it affects my personal brand. And so I've got to do what I have to do. And then it tells them to think about your social media profiles, and based on the advice in the article, what changes should you make? And if you do not think your social media needs changing, explain why not, because that really allows them to reflect on what they have going on at the time. All right, this is our last slide. It's just giving you some questions to ponder over, and we can open the floor up for discussion. But how is it done at your school? What type of career exploration and guidance do you guys offer at your school? And how does your school prepare students for returning to school? Because the one thing we like about Cornerstone, they take this course once they return to school. And then, of course, senior seminars on the way out. What are some soft skills you believe that would help benefit your students? So you don't have to answer these questions, but we definitely want to open up the floor at this time for open discussion or questions.
I just want to say I really love this. I'm here in Indiana, and I know one of I want to say it was our Richmond, Indiana location, tried out like a freshman seminar. I don't know if that's still happening or if it's similar to this. And we've done some similar things, but I think especially pre-COVID and then now seeing like the tech skills and always the soft skills that students need, we're always trying to like establish getting these skills to our students in different ways, and it would be really helpful to have a class. So I really like it.
Hello, also from Indianapolis, Decatur location. And I love this. I know, Heather, you and I have talked about it in the past at a previous session before, and I just think that this is so great to get students involved before seeing. So we talk about it. It's all talk though. We've never implemented anything. And so our students don't get these types of skills until they're in senior seminar. We talk about doing an social media audit and dressing for the interview and soft skills and hard skills. And although I love that, our students are going out for different interviews while they're at school, or they're sending emails to teachers that are getting the wrong tone because they don't know email professionalism. And it's just, I love putting it out there in the beginning. Our students, some of our students are with us for 3 years because they go and they come back and they go and they come back. And others come and they just need a couple credits and they're out the door. But for those that are with us for the long haul, this is such a great opportunity to get those conversations going. And hopefully by setting the tone early enough, you have less of the come and go, which I'm sure to some extent you might not, but they're learning the skills and that deeper of why do I want to be here? And it's more than for just the piece of paper or just the diploma. There's more coming afterwards.
Yes, I agree. And I was looking at some of the comments, and Heather addressed the one about an assignment for professional email. Guys, that's the first thing I cover in Cornerstone is how to communicate, even if there's a conflict. And I show them emails I've had without students' names of students who have emailed me, and they're like, you haven't graded my work. And we learn in Cornerstone, I words, I feel, and we really talk about how would you feel if you got this message, even if you didn't intentionally mean it that way, that's how it comes across. And so we go over email etiquette, and all of that. I'm trying to see any more. So Someone asked if you have a student who could graduate the first term they start, would you push them back to the next term? I'm going to let my director answer this on how we work Cornerstone in. If I think it's asking if all they need is one term. So my director's JD, because I don't know the answer to that, and she will know.
Well, I'm happy to answer it. So, I believe across the district, but I know for sure in St. Louis that students who come in with more than 18 credits are not required to have this class. Same as they are also not required to have senior seminar, although we highly recommend it. So there's a when we started this class, we had tons and tons of students who of course hadn't had it. And so we really started doing it and kind of said only new students. We didn't want a whole bunch of students to go backwards just because we get so many new students every term and we would have had to offer quite a few of these classes. So I would say the answer is if they, we want almost all new students to take it. But if they only need that, like 4 credits or 3 credits or 2 credits, we're not going to make them take this class. Although we might suggest whatever classes they need and senior seminar. So they're still getting some of that on their way out.
Okay. I thought that was kind of how we did it. And when we do have those students in senior seminar, the instructor is able to tell, especially with Choices 360. So I may have to pull that student aside to get him or her caught up to where the other class is, which is very easy. I see someone ask, what happens if you have a student not available during this time? So we have an influx of students coming in. And so our director will schedule, there's a morning class, there's an afternoon class, there may be a dinner hour class or even a night class. But if we have the numbers, we usually make it work to where Cornerstone is offered for our new students, because we do believe it has made a difference and it's something good for the students. JD?
Yeah, what I tell the life coaches is try to schedule it within the first 2 terms. This term we're in right now, we actually opened up another section because we had like a whole bunch of new students that didn't get into our 3 sections we already had. So anytime in the first couple of terms, and we also have students who come in and their reading level is so low that they really don't qualify to take this class. They would really struggle on the computer pieces. So not every student takes it their first term with us. They have to get to that reading level to get in there too. So something else to consider.
Thanks, JD. And guys, I love teaching this class. It reminds me of some things. Sometimes we, as the facilitator, need to be reminded, okay, our growth mindset, self-regulation, self-advocacy, communication skills. So it's good to touch up on those skills, for myself. And so I like teaching it and I love our discussions.
Yeah.
The students come in, really open to learning so many of these skills that they had forgot or never learned. And like I said, the foundation of it is to help them carry those skills into other classes. That career, college and career, the Choices 360, that early exploration also, as Katie mentioned, gives them kind of that end focus of, they never thought about going to college. They never thought about getting an industry recognized certification. And now they're seeing that these things are all possibilities that are open to them. And they can plan things with their life coaches for their next terms that they're here. I try to, every time I teach the class, I incorporate my life coaches coming in and teaching a session. So she does a session on life skills. Another does one on health and well-being and self-care for students. We incorporate skill up. So we make it this collaborative effort that we're trying to cover all these skills, but they're seeing some different perspectives and hearing it from some different people as well. But I agree with Ramona. Those of us that are teaching the Cornerstone and the senior seminar, we kind of have the best of both worlds because we get to see them when they come in and, they're just they're nervous about things, or they're nervous about their technology skills, or, they're like, oh, I didn't know how to manage my time that way. And you making me, write out where all my time goes and how to use it better. All of those things are just going to help them not only be better students in the time that they're with us, but be more productive at home, in their career, in college, those things that they go on to do next. So it's a great class.
I had another question. And you guys, I think you kind of may have already hit on this with each of you that has been speaking, but when you need the multiple sections, because that isn't something that we've been able to do a lot of, like if we need more math B classes, like we're pretty limited and like we can only offer one or two. Do you, the people who are teaching this class, do you all teach other things too? And then like everyone can teach this, I would assume. Is that kind of the situation when you need to add more?
Yeah, so at the St. Louis, I teach mathematics. Ramona teaches English and senior seminar as well. We have another math teacher that's teaching Cornerstone. So it is a class that anybody's qualified to teach. But yeah, we're really lucky here, at least at the St. Louis Excel Center. We've got enough of students so that we can supply enough staff to kind of, have all those classes. So.
Yeah. And Springfield, I'm the only one that currently teaches it. So I do, like I said, I teach just those two classes, but then I'm also full-time CCR. So I kind of get all of that piece with all of them of beginning, end, and then what we're doing after they graduate. So.
See, and I think that's an advantage for a CCR for all of that. So we do get our CCRs in the classroom with us in Cornerstone and Senior Seminar, so they can work with us as not co-teaching the class, but being there, because the students will communicate with them afterwards. I also saw guys, I think it was Kylie, that you guys tried out in adult roles. And one thing about Cornerstone and Senior Seminar, I almost feel like the class should be called Adulting 101, but of course we can't call it that. But that just rung a bell with me when it said adult roles.
Are there any other questions? Anything that you guys don't feel that we've covered?
What was your biggest challenge when, and I apologize if you guys touched on this earlier, but what was your biggest challenge in getting this up and running?
I think getting all the maybe past students to start taking it, when we implemented Choices 360, it was both for the classes, Cornerstone and Senior Seminar. And so I think Ramona could, and probably Heather can say that it may have been a headache getting people in Senior Seminar that did take Cornerstone or didn't take Cornerstone. So they had to kind of have different classes going on at the same time to be able to get everybody on the same page. But it was something that was really pushed as far as like the administration going, because like I said, the main goal and focus here, we as teachers, we see the success every day in our students, but there's a big hole. We're really looking for that employment and improving on their professional lives afterwards. So they were really made it really easy for us to be able to get this going.
And there was a lot of, we talked for quite a while before we implemented this of, we had meetings, the directors had meetings, and then they came and, we had meetings with, CCR life coaches. We tossed around ideas of, what should this look like? What do we want to make sure we're covering? What are we seeing in that gap that's, students are missing in their classes that we think we need to cover? We had an intro to tech class, so that was covering that tech piece that those who were coming in with no skills didn't have. Now, obviously, we've not been able to do that, so that's been a struggle for students since we've been online. But you know, those students that had no tech skills, like you don't want to put them in a Cornerstone class, or like JD mentioned, if they come in and they have a low reading level, you know, they have to take that English, you know, 1 class first, take an intro to tech class before they're really ready. So laying out those guidelines of, you know, who is going to be in it, what were we going to offer? You know, we had a big group PD. Really, it was pretty much right before, you know, the world stopped spinning, you know, as what we put, and that's when we put together the core competencies and decided, you know, we all worked on kind of like week 1, week 2, week 3. And like I said, over the course of time, we've all adjusted it a little differently as when we cover something or how much focus we put on something. And it's really just what the students need to help them be more successful.
I think another challenge, and Katie, I'm sure you can agree with this, is when you are a teacher and you teach a class, like I teach Cornerstone and Senior Seminar, while I also teach literature classes. It's the students, they'll have me for Cornerstone and they're like, oh my gosh, I want her for whatever English class she's taking. And then they get in my English class and they're like, you're not the same. So it's just Cornerstone and Senior Seminar, you know, they're more the non-academic classes and a lot of reflecting and things like that. And then you get over into another subject, like Katie teaches math, and yeah, it's not all about reflecting in this one, guys. You got to get some critical thinking and you know, so it's really funny to hear the students like, oh my God, I thought I wanted her for all these classes, but my goodness. But yeah, I just wanted to share that.
That's cute. I was wondering, would you be willing to share the PowerPoint? Or should we reach out to you individually for that? Of course, COVID has created a whole new dynamic of how we're going to look at orientation, whatnot. And I'm from Michigan Street in Indianapolis. And we throw around some of these things. I'm the TOR there, but I don't know. There's some ideas there that we could maybe pick depending upon what we choose to do moving forward after the school year ends and how if that's going to look after COVID. So I didn't know if that was something that you guys are willing to do.
Absolutely. I think, don't we have a list of everyone?
We should. And then Katie Bustamante said that like a week or 2 after everything's done, like all of these with the PowerPoints, everything will be available on a website for everybody to go, you know, to have access.
Oh, great. Okay.
If there were any sessions that you didn't get to attend that you wanted to, whatever, but the PowerPoints will be there. But we can also get a list from Brooke, who I want to do a shout out to Brooke real quick, because our tech helpers typically don't get a shout out, but she's been super and so very friendly and helpful to us getting this ready, and our like disorientation with time zones and what time are we doing this. So shout out to Katie, but we can get a list and specifically share that with you guys here. And but I do know that all of the presentations will be made available. Katie said it might be about a week, but everything will be uploaded and accessible for everyone.
Well, thank you for that. This is wonderful. Thanks, guys.
All right, I think we're about close on time, but there was one last question in the chat box that I thought was really great. So I saw your question, Katie. It says, do you feel looking back in the beginning and possibly even now that students give pushback on taking non-academic subjects like Cornerstone?
So for me, no. Especially when we're in person, guys, it's like therapy. We leave there crying at least once a week because students are able to really look at their behaviors and we look at what needs to be changed. And so I have not had one student in Cornerstone or Senior Seminar that hasn't, you know, read at the class. They're like, everybody needs to take this course. And our population of students, their lives have been just so different. There's a lot of trauma and there's a lot, you know, there's stories behind every student. And I think these classes are life-changing for them. I don't know about the other teachers of Cornerstone, but
And I always love it when I hear, my students saying they're passing their information on to their kids, so it's just that trickle effect, we're not just affecting our students, but, the next generations to come. Also, I kind of, I don't know, bragged earlier, like we got a lot of teachers and a lot of staff, but we don't have a lot of elective classes. So we have students that I have like in my algebra class, some of them taking it just for an elective. So, if they get Cornerstone for an elective, they're a lot happier.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much to our presenters. I know everybody's going to be running over to their next session, but thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Brooke.
Thank you.